everybody, and welcome into HCAM Sports Talk Live. I am your host, Tom Nappy, and on the show with me today, we have Andy Barron and Kevin Stone. Jared Keene may be joining us as well. Guys, how are you?
Doing good, Tom. Long time no see. How you guys doing?
Can't complain. Sports is back in full swing pretty much. We got some random March football, which is going pretty well so far. Doesn't look like any snow's going to interfere. And, of course, we'll have a full slate pretty much of spring sports coming up. And while we're talking about that, why don't we get to what to expect on HCAM this week sports-wise? We have a number of games coming up on Monday. You saw the JV football game and Hillers swimming. Tuesday, we had the volleyball. This Saturday, our first home Hillers varsity football game as they take on Medfield at 1 p.m. And then on Monday, April 5th, we have some Hillers swimming, and also just added Hillers JV football was just added to Monday, April 5th at 4:30 as well. I believe they'll be playing Brockton that day, Monday, April 5th. So we'll have some bonus football for you on Monday, April 5th. There's your Hillers sports slate. And, of course, you can stay up to date with everything coming up on the HCAM channels at our website, hcam.tv. Kevin, I'm curious, have you been covering any football lately? There's been some good games out there. Of course, we're getting to see all the big league rivalries this season.
Yeah, as you know, I've been co-owning and running the New England Football Journal website, and we've actually had a game every week, or a game of the week, I should say. So it's been weird, to say the least. The surprising thing for me, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is, before this all started, we were all very worried about the weather. The weather has been the least of anyone's concerns, really, for at least the past 3 weeks. I know every game I've done, it's been like 50 or 60 and sunny. So that's been very, very nice. And as weird as it's been, once the game starts, it feels like high school football. It feels like a regular Friday night. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the weather has been wonderful. I mean, in March, you're typically worried about very cold weather and snow. We haven't gotten that at all. It's had a spring-like feel to it. It kind of feels like the beginning of September when you're at the high school football games and it's 70, 80 degrees out. It's nice. I can't complain. And it doesn't look like we're going to have to worry about snow. I think our snow days are over. I'll knock on some wood in case, but I think the snow days are over. So it's looking like we're going to get through this thing. They're going to get the complete schedule in for the most part, as long as, of course, no outbreaks happen, which we are certainly crossing our fingers that they will not. So it is definitely great to have good weather out there for sure. And obviously, a lot of schools at the beginning of the season had to plow off them fields to get ready for the year. But it doesn't look like we're going to get any snow this season. So it looks like they're going to get everything in. We got Jared Keene with us. Jared, how have you been? Have you been covering any football so far this season? And how are you liking it?
What's going on, Tom? I am embarrassed to say that I have not actually covered a game yet. I actually just got back from vacation a couple days ago.
Well, that's even better.
So
Didn't you just go to Florida?
yeah, I was back there for a few days, getting away for a little bit.
Jared, you've been taking quite a few vacations there.
Hey, he saved up the time. It's
good, man. I'm glad. I actually just booked a cruise for 2 years down the road, so I'm happy.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we won't have COVID-20 hitting by then.
Hope not. It's my 10th year wedding anniversary. I don't think my wife will be too happy about that.
Luckily for me, Kevin's been really carrying the load, so I appreciate everything Kevin's been doing. So
Good.
If you can call it that.
That's right. Kevin doesn't take vacations. He's just
Kevin, you know I respect your grind, bro. You get after it, man. I've always respected that. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out there this weekend, though. Hopefully get out to a couple games and just hopefully be able to get to some games for the rest of the season and try to make up for what I've missed. So
Absolutely. Well, there'll be a lot of weekend games for sure. The entire TVL is playing this Saturday. No Friday games in the TVL this week, but some great matchups. And I think one of the best things that we've seen about having this football season is you're getting to see those league matchups. You know, in the TVL, you got the TVL large going against each other, and of course the TVL small as well. And then in the Hockomock, you got all the great Hockomock rivalries still going. I think it's been such a playoff like field because it's pretty much big rivalries every week.
Yeah, I mean, I did Medway Millis a couple weeks ago, and
That's
obviously
always a good game.
that's a Thanksgiving Day game, and to see it in March was weird to say the least. But you're right about the playoff atmosphere. I did Wellesley Framingham on Saturday, a huge upset for Framingham, and you wouldn't know, even with 50 people in the crowd or whatever it was, it felt and sounded like a playoff game. So the emotion is definitely there. I think for every kid that straps it up this year, and we talked about it a few weeks ago, just being out there, the emotion is already high, and you added the rivalry games in as well, and it feels like the playoffs every weekend.
Right.
Yeah,
I love it.
And
Go
also
ahead,
last
Andy.
weekend, King Philip and Milford,
Yep.
big win for Milford, 12-0 over a very good King Philip team. They had lost the week before against a very talented Mansfield team, which is one of the best teams in Eastern Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And they'll be taking on Franklin this Saturday as well. So Milford looking to get to 2-2, but they've off to a good start, and that's good to see. I know BVT and Northbridge, I think, played on a Monday because Northbridge's opponent backed out over the weekend. I think there's some COVID concerns. So it's just at this point, I think every coach and every athlete is pretty much, if we got to play Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, Saturday, well, we're just going to have to do it. So that's really, I think, the consensus heading into right now. But I've talked to a lot of athletes, and they say, like, I mean, really, let's be honest here. I mean, the weather has been phenomenal, but April still is a tough month too. You just don't know. I mean, I don't think there'll be any snow, hopefully, but you can get some very cold and dreary days in April too. And
Right.
But luckily, there's not much time left in the season, anyways. This season's over in a few weeks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three
Pretty
more
much
weeks, we're
5-week season.
Yeah, we're done. And then you're going right into the spring season. And I mean, there's no time. It's just bang, bang. And then think about it, right? If the season does get over in July, you got 2 months until training camp begins. There's really going to be no time off this year at all. I mean,
Right. And
What a win for Framingham, by the way, over Wellesley. That's
Yes.
I mean that's an incredible win, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you were at that, man. That I was kind of following along, and that just seemed like an awesome environment and just kind of everything about that. So
Hey,
that's awesome.
you know damn well it's luck of the draw. So that
Yep.
could have been any one of us in that game. But just along those lines too, I don't know about you guys, but everything I've seen, I've been surprised with the actual, the skill and just the talent level of football. Again, for no preparation and really no camp or anything like that. Some of these games have been really impressive.
Kevin, the other thing too is, when was the last Framingham was out for months?
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
not played in months. The whole athletic department hasn't played. So for them to go out and beat a team like Wellesley, who's had plenty of time, that is a
Mhm.
phenomenal win for that team.
Phenomenal, outstanding.
Yeah, Wellesley had actually outscored their first two opponents 82-0. So it was mind-boggling to say the least. But yeah, I think it's been a surprise how good the football, statewide has actually been.
yeah, and another
Milford Franklin should be a pretty good game this weekend, and so should Holliston Ashland will be a really good game this weekend. Holliston is actually coming off a loss, which I was surprised about Norwood.
Yeah.
I saw, but Holliston Ashland should be awesome this weekend, and Milford Franklin should also be pretty good. Definitely.
Yeah, Milford Franklin, that is always a great matchup. I've had the pleasure of covering many of those. They always play each other very tough. There's been some craziness in some of those games towards the end of
absolutely.
it. So I'd expect this one to be another one, and especially seeing that Milford just beat King Philip. They're obviously a team that has a lot of talent this year. They got a new coach, Coach Olson, former assistant at Millis, and he's done a great job with the program. But they got some up and coming talent, so I'm excited to cover some Milford for my other side gig in future years. But this year they are looking good, and they're going to give Franklin a battle. And Franklin, they're always a powerhouse program, so that should be a great matchup. But you mentioned Holliston, one of the biggest upsets this past week was Norwood taking down Holliston. Here's the TVL standings right here. Holliston, they started off the season beating Hopkinton at home, then lost a close one in Norwood. It was 19-14 in that game, and kind of a stunner for Holliston, but Norwood, they're a loaded team too that has come a long way in the last couple of years, and they're going to be good for years to come as well. And then, of course, the game will be at this weekend for HCAM. Hopkinton hosting Medfield, their first home game of the year. Medfield 1-1, Hopkinton 0-2. That game is a 1 p.m. scheduled kickoff. That should be a great battle. But it is awesome to see some football and to see those the kids out there getting some good experience and getting to play some of the great league rivals. And, yeah, I mean, it's at a different time of year. And I think, part of the reason that maybe the football doesn't look as bad as we thought it was because of obviously the lack of experience this year is you had some other sports in the fall and winter take place. And a lot of those football players are playing basketball. A lot of them are playing hockey. And if they wanted to participate in a fall sport, I heard a lot of them did cross country just to get some running experience in there. So it wasn't like they were going from absolutely nothing to something. And I'm sure many of them were disciplined enough to train during this lockdown time that we just had as well. But it is good. The football is certainly looking good from everything I've seen. There's been some great games, and it doesn't seem like they've lost much at all, even starting at this crazy time of year. And I think with football going on right now, and you got girls volleyball as well, the spring sports, I think, are going to be very high quality this year, especially with all the seasons crammed into each other. You had the fall season start a little bit late in most cases, a couple weeks late. And then it kind of just went right into the winter, right into the fall two. And then it's going to go right into the spring. Right after fall two ends, you go into your practices, your 2 weeks of practices for the spring, and then you're starting the spring season. So based on what I've been seeing with basketball and hockey and football, I think the spring season is going to be a lot of fun as well. And let's not forget, they're going to pretty much do a full spring season. At least from what I understand in the TVL, they are doing a 16-game season that'll go into mid-June, and then the playoffs start, which could go to July 3rd if you go all the way to the state championship. But it's going to be pretty much a full season, and part of this effort was because there was absolutely no spring season last year, so I guess it's a way they can kind of make up for it. But I'm expecting some good stuff in the spring season, and you also are going to have stuff like wrestling happen too, which usually happens in the fall.
Outdoor wrestling should be wild. That's going to be wild.
That is going to be great.
That's going to be very interesting. And but at least I mean, it's only practice only. I don't believe they're competing against other teams.
No, some are, I believe.
Some are.
I believe they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do want to ask you guys go ahead, Kevin. I'll let you finish.
No, I was just gonna say, the idea of wrestling, Friday Night Light wrestling, it's gonna be awesome. I know, for all of us to cover, that'll be something none of us have ever seen before. So that'll definitely be pretty cool.
That's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
It'll put wrestling more in the spotlight too, because I mean, wrestling's kind of hidden in the winter.
Won't be this year.
You got basketball and hockey going, and wrestling's a great sport, but it's kind of hidden because most people are going to the basketball and the hockey games. That's where the student section tends to go, and typically the wrestling meets are like 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning for a lot of the big meets. So it's kind of hidden in there. I think this will kind of put it more in the spotlight, and it'll be outside. People will be intrigued. So I think they'll draw some fans if they can, of course, but it'll certainly get some attention. And we're going to be covering Hillers wrestling as much as we can as well. And I think a lot of the other cable networks around the area will do the same. But I wonder how they're going to do it. I can't wait to see it. I've heard rumors that it could be on tennis courts. Put the mats out on the tennis courts. I've heard rumors that it could be in a football field.
Yep.
I like my proposal of getting a WWE ring in there, but that's just me.
You would suggest that too.
But I think it's going to be interesting. But I want to ask you guys, they recently just voted on the spring playoffs, and we knew there was probably going to be a sectionals, but now it looks like the state tournament has gotten approved as well. That is something I did not expect. I thought they were going to stop at sectionals and call it a day there, but now it looks like we're going to have this state tournament. Are you guys surprised at all? And did you think that this would be the outcome? And are you happy with this outcome?
I mean, I think.
Go
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, a couple of things. I am a little surprised, but not, because cases have dropped. But, and I don't want to be negative, because there's been so much negativity probably for the last year or so. But are you a little concerned that some of the numbers are going up a little bit, or is this just because more people are outside? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me, but you got to remember now, a lot of schools are going to be going back in these next couple of weeks. You have April vacation coming up. I mean, there have people that have said this state tournament is not a slam dunk, that if things start going the other way, they're gonna yank it. Now, I don't know if I don't think it will happen, but do you have some concerns? I mean, just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers are going up a little because things are opening up more.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's part of it, but
Sure.
also people are outside more. There is more human to human contact. A lot of people are back in the office at work. Now, people aren't locked down in their homes anymore like they were last March. So I think that's why the numbers have gone up a little. But I think with the vaccines and how many are being distributed now, I think that is what is easing a lot of the concerns about the numbers going up. Because what was the number I saw the other day? 36% or something like that of people have had the vaccine. Some crazy number like that. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I heard. But anyways, I think the vaccines have eased a lot of the concerns. But with people being back at work, office buildings being back in session, things opening up, I think you kind of have to expect things to go up a little bit. But I don't think it's at a number that you have to be, too concerned about right now, at least.
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest surprise is just the fact the MIAA actually listened to people and actually kind of knew the room and decided to go with this, because I sure as hell didn't think they would. I thought, like you said, they would stop at sectionals and just kind of say, hey, look, we took it this far. But good for them for reading the room and kind of knowing, hey, look, these kids lost an entire season or an entire year of athletics. So good for them. I guess you have to be concerned a little bit with the numbers, but like you guys said, look, we're starting to open up a little bit more, and it's bound to happen. I think for everyone, it's just one of those things where we're at the point where it's like, okay, let's just go and kind of see how far we can push it,
And I guess one way to look at it too, it's only 2 more games for each bracket, right? So, yeah, I mean, you took it as far as the sectionals. You might as well just do the states at that point.
I completely agree with Andy and Kevin. I think they couldn't have said it any better. I was kind of surprised, but I was also sort of not surprised. I mean, again, numbers, going up. Yeah, I mean, people are starting to feel a bit better about things, and obviously getting the vaccine helps. And with hopefully nicer weather, people want to come outside more, like Andy alluded to. But I mean, the one thing, and Kevin touched on it again, was that the MIA actually listened to the students. When that doesn't happen too often.
Oh,
that's.
I never thought I would say this, but I gotta give the MIA credit.
Yeah,
They've done a great job.
You have to give them credit.
Yeah,
they've done a good job throughout this whole thing, I think.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, though, they did have the protest outside the MIA offices.
Yeah.
I don't think you get that vote if you don't have that. So,
hey, sometimes you need the protest, right?
yeah.
And I also think, honestly, I think they've made the right call in every single season so far.
Agreed.
Because, and again, I have criticized this organization so many times. Tom knows this, but I just they made the right decision. I really do believe they've made the right call.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, some of the rule changes in soccer were a little much, but besides that,
But overall, yeah,
Don't get me, Tom. Don't get me started on that, man. You know how I feel about that. Jeez.
But they've made the right call. They got all the kids out there. They got all the teams out there. They put them in a safe environment, I feel, and they tried to transition as much as they could to make sure that the kids could still play the sports that they love and have an opportunity to play during their high school years. And that was the ongoing theme this year, just getting the kids out there to play. And they did it. They did it successfully. And obviously we still got the rest of fall 2 to go in spring. We're hoping all goes well with that. But it seemed like the whole way the MIAA was just looking for ways around the obstacles to get the kids out there. And that's what they did. And I'm glad they did that. I'm glad that they weren't like some other sports leagues around New England and just kind of threw in the towel and said no season, Connecticut. But the MIAA, they made sure that the kids got out there. And I thought they did a good job, especially with what they had to work with.
there are still towns that are still not playing. It is just we are never going to see something like this again, honestly. At least I hope not, but
Never say never.
I know, but it's just seriously. I mean, you have to think by the fall of 2021, things should be back to some level of normalcy. I don't think it's going to be 100%, but I think like there should be seasons should start on time, but I still don't think, there still might be limitations on some things. Don't be shocked if there are. I just still think, you just don't know.
Well, there still is limitations,
Yeah.
statewide as far as entertainment and capacity and stuff like that. I mean, they just started letting fans back into the Garden for Bruins and Celtics games, but it's what, 20%?
That's like
12%.
How long when do they start increasing it? Like, by the 4th of July, do you have 33%? Do you think that's a relatively fair number for Fenway Park?
I'm hoping, but I don't know. I really don't know. It's because we all thought this was going to last a few months, be done with by the summer. The sun was going to come in and kill it or something like that. And we wouldn't really have to worry in the summer, but no, that didn't happen. There was still all these restrictions, no fans allowed, a lot of restrictions with summer baseball. Legion got canceled. Fortunately, there was the independent leagues, but I don't even try to predict it anymore. I really don't. It's like you kind of just got to go with the flow at this point.
Yep. I mean, you can't try to predict something like this. I mean, it's, again, I mean, you can be hopeful, and to answer your question, Andy, I think 33% sounds pretty reasonable, but again, you can't really predict anything. I mean, as much as you might want something or hope for something, who knows what's actually going to happen, at this point, I mean, you hope that going forward, things are going to start getting better and numbers are going to go down and more people are going to get the vax and everything, with more people being eligible in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you really can't predict something like this right now.
I think the other problem too is just Fenway is probably a bad example just because it's so small. Yes, it's outdoors, but even spreading out a Fenway, that's not easy.
No.
I'll tell you what, I would not want to be cooped in the Fenway in those little seats sitting next to like 40,000 people.
For sure. Stadium you can spread people out in Gillette Stadium. Right. It's twice the size as Fenway Park, and you're at the same problem with the TD Garden too. People are just too close together. Look, my mother told me this. She's been a nurse for 46 years, and she told me viruses do what they can to survive. So like Jared just said, we really don't know. And Tom said too, I think I'm probably done making predictions too, because some people thought this thing was just going to go for a few weeks, and now it's been over a year. You just
yeah, it was 15 days, and then it was 30 days, and now what? Over a year later.
Yeah.
So I mean, by that you'd hope that a lot of people will be vaccinated, and that'll certainly have a good impact on the numbers, and they can open stuff even a little more than it is now. It is great to see fans back in stadiums again. And hey, according to Roger Goodell, he's expecting football teams to have full capacity next season. So, if Goodell's predicting that, he must have got some advice somewhere. So perhaps he knows something that we don't.
I think it's either that or he is at the stage that everybody else is at. And he just said, screw it. We're putting everybody in there this year.
Yeah. Well, Texas and Florida have already pretty much have full stadiums. I mean, but California still does not have fans indoors, which is.
Oh, they're not going to have fans indoors for like 4 more years in California.
I know. But yeah, well, he has to say that. He has to at this point. I mean, but he has to think in the back of his mind, there still will be some places that will not be at full capacity. Because honestly, some people may not want to go. I mean, you have to think that too.
I wouldn't feel comfortable in certain stadiums right now. Like in Fenway, where people are sitting on top of you and all over you and right next to you, you're crushing those little seats. No thanks. But if you spread out and they're over there and you're over here, all right, that I could deal with. That I'll definitely go to a game like that. But I would not want to be cooped up around a ton of people right now in a little seat in Fenway.
There's also actually going to be some interesting kind of case studies, I think, coming up here in the next month or so. You have the BC spring game, which they haven't announced if fans are allowed or not. But, if you can even fit 1,000 in there, that's a nice little preview or a kind of test, I guess, to kind of see how it goes. And, you'll have Harvard doing the same thing. And so you'll even have college lacrosse and tournament games, that might be able to be nice little test runs, so to speak, as we kind of try to expand a little bit. So I'm going to be curious to see what that's like in the next few months as well.
I'd imagine there'll be some limitations with those games. Full stands.
No, but my whole thing is just even getting people into spring games or, college playoff games. That's a huge step, especially around here.
Right. And then also you have the states that are fully open, like Texas and Florida, who very well may have full stands before everybody else. Those will be interesting case studies.
Yes.
Yeah, Jared, you were down in Florida. My buddy was just there. He said it was like another country.
Yeah, it pretty much is. He's right.
That's why Jared went there so many times.
I saw the pictures from spring break. Oh my goodness. It is just like there was curfews like in Miami and in Tampa. I'm like,
they don't even have masks in Florida. They don't even know what they are.
They really don't. They really don't, which is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is,
Good.
I mean, my family and I wore our masks, and that was all we could really do. But I mean, just walking around, seeing the amount of people without masks on was shocking, absolutely shocking, in a way. As you consider red state, blue state, blah blah blah. But
right,
just seeing the amount of people walking around without masks on was absolutely insane. And yeah, I mean, just. My parents.
Don't worry, folks. We don't do politics on this show. So, by the way, if anybody wants to chime in on the YouTube chat, feel free to send us a message with a question or a comment. We'll be happy to read it on air. But high school sports, fall 2 going well. Spring season right around the corner. We'll have the whole thing, the sectionals, the state tournament. At least that's the way it's planned now. We're certainly looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun, especially with having tournaments back, because I think we all missed the tournaments and the great matchups. I'm really looking forward to the playoffs, guys. But we do have the Final Four decided in the college basketball tournament. So let's take a look here. And there it is. You got Houston against Baylor. And you got Houston, a 2-seed, Baylor, a 1-seed. And both games will be on Saturday, April 3rd. That one's at 5:14. Then at 8:34, the 11th-seeded UCLA Bruins and the 1st-seeded Gonzaga. What's their team name? Bulldogs. Yeah, I should know that. That was horrible. But yes, Bulldogs, Bruins. UCLA beat Michigan last night. That was a low-scoring defensive affair that went down to the final seconds. Quite an ending. Michigan had 2 chances at a buzzer-beating shot and blew it. UCLA advances as an 11th seed. They went from the first 11 to the final 4. Pretty amazing stuff. I still, I'm not sold on UCLA. I think they had some great wins. I still got the Zags winning it. I think Baylor is a good team as well, but that Houston Baylor matchup should be a good one. I think Baylor will probably take it. What are your guys' thoughts on what you've seen in this tournament? It was, of course, a little different this year, not having the Dukes or the Louisville Cardinals or the Kentucky Wildcats. Were the Jayhawks in it? I forget.
Kansas was in it. Yep, got knocked out.
They got knocked out early, but a little different this year, but some good games nonetheless. What are your thoughts?
Well, 19th Final Four appearance for UCLA, which is just incredible. I mean, this team has just been, the records they have set throughout the years are just staggering. Of course, the 88-game winning streak, which is almost unheard of, and they're the first team to ever go from the first four to the Final Four, and they earned it. They made
right.
it. I mean,
it's their first time back in the Final Four since 2008.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So, I mean, they're a team you have to take seriously. You've got to take them seriously now. I mean, you can't. Now, Gonzaga is a very good team, but nothing surprises me at this point, I mean, and I know, Tom, you said that one of those lower seeded teams was probably gonna make the Final Four, and they did. Baylor's good too. Houston's good. This is a tough one. If UCLA takes down Gonzaga, then I don't know how you can't say they're not going to win the whole thing.
That would be shocking.
Well, I mean, Michigan.
I mean, anything can happen, but Gonzaga, I mean, they're what, the top scoring team in the country?
30-0.
Yeah, and they're undefeated. So
they got a lot of pressure on them, though. They're undefeated. I mean, if they, that's a lot. That's a lot on your shoulders. I mean,
right.
As impressed as I've been with UCLA, you have to give Mick Cronin, the UCLA coach, a lot of credit. And obviously, this is the most talented team he's going to have in quite a while. There's no way UCLA beats Gonzaga. I mean, I think Gonzaga is significantly better than Michigan. Sure, yeah, last night's win is pretty impressive for UCLA, but I don't even know what I would do if Gonzaga loses to UCLA. And again, that's nothing against UCLA. You have to give them a lot of credit for what they've done, going from, being a play-in game to now being in the Final Four. And they found different ways to win. But, I mean, Gonzaga's on another level. There's no way Gonzaga loses this game. And I'm looking forward to Houston Baylor. I think Houston Baylor should be a great game. Give me Baylor in that one. Which would obviously set up a Baylor Gonzaga final, and I think that would be awesome. And I would have Gonzaga winning that. But yeah, I mean, again, UCLA's run is impressive. I just, I don't see it continuing here. I mean, Gonzaga is just a whole different animal, with Jalen Suggs, Drew Timme, Corey Kispert, who's an outstanding player, so well coached by Mark Few. I mean, yeah, Gonzaga is just, I don't know. you can't say
bringing out
much
the
else.
book. We're writing the predictions down. All right. So
I am not a college basketball guy by any means. Sorry, Tom. I am not a college basketball guy by any means. I took Houston to win it. They're the only chance I still have at winning my buddy's pool. But I will say it speaks volumes about the Red Sox right now that we went March Madness before opening day tomorrow.
Right. I don't think anybody's excited about the Red Sox. I expect pretty much the same as last year. Maybe they get a tad better, but they're not going anywhere. They didn't do
I got
anything.
a fantasy baseball draft tonight, and I'm like, I'm not even really that excited about it. I mean, I'm kind of excited about it, but not as excited as in years past.
I had mine last night. I was in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm not in baseball mode yet.
They don't have a pitching staff.
Right, they don't.
It's hard to kind of get up for these. I don't know. Like the last couple of years, I probably have said it before, but it's just been hard to get up for some of these seasons. Like, are you really into the Celtics and Bruins right now? I mean, really? No.
Not really. I mean, unless they were playing really good. Some of the Bruins games have been pretty good. Like
I've been watching a lot of the Bruins.
But
see, even still with them, you know what a Stanley Cup team looks like, and you know they're not it.
Right.
So it's hard to get into. Same thing with the team.
I don't think we'll start getting into them until after like NFL free agency.
Well, the Celtics are not a championship team.
No, the Celtics are not a championship team.
Exactly.
Horrible. horrible.
I think we can all agree on that. That's for sure.
Horrible.
Yes.
The only good thing right now is that there's always something to watch. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Point, we didn't have anything to watch.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got upset when the XFL canceled last year. 'Cause I was,
Oh, I know. It was so great. It's like, oh, the
It
season
was.
ends, but there's football still, and it's pretty good quality football. Oh, and there's cool camera angles, and you can like hear the refs talking.
they might combine with the CFL. There's rumors going around. They're going to
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
and don't forget the Mass Pirates are going to be starting in a few weeks too. So there'll be some indoor football.
Okay.
Patrick Pass, former Patriot, is the head coach there.
I'm
There
actually
we
going
go.
to try and cover a couple of those games. So
Well, it's
that'd be
something.
a good one.
And listen, I've said this before too. You're going to see an explosion in minor league sports over the next decade. People are really going to start latching on to these teams because it's getting unaffordable to go to some of these pro games. You think it's bad now? What's it going to be like in 5 years when they really are going to start feeling the effects of this pandemic? But I'm telling you right now, minor league sports, they are really going to catch on.
I think the cheapest Red Sox ticket was like $300. I saw that and
That's
laughed.
ridiculous.
And I go,
So we need
not
1,000
a
That's
chance.
outrageous. Absolutely absurd.
For that team, no.
We paid $1,000 for 2 tickets to go to opening day against the Orioles.
No.
And Andy, you mentioned the minor league stuff. Don't forget about the PLL as well.
Yep.
Chris Hogan, former Patriots receiver,
Just
he
signed with
signed
the,
with the
just,
Cannons today.
just signed with the Cannons.
The only bad thing is I don't think they're playing in Quincy. I think they're going back to the old PLL model, which is, kind of touring different stadiums. But especially if crowds start reappearing in stadiums, that's going to be a huge league that probably takes off, especially if the Red Sox are terrible around here. So
Which
I completely agree with you on the minor league and the other leagues that people really aren't focused on right now.
The MLS, watch out for that league.
Yeah.
MLS?
I laughed when that league came out like almost 30 years ago. They seem to have a good formula going over there because it's getting more popular each year.
Yep.
Yeah, they're expanding, aren't they?
Yeah.
Aren't they adding a couple teams?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
You're seeing it though. I mean,
Kevin mentioned
Unfortunately,
lacrosse.
the
I'm
USA.
pumped for some high school lacrosse, man. I'm very excited for some high school lacrosse. It's been 2 years since we've had high school lacrosse. Again, I speak for Kevin as well because I know Kevin loves lacrosse just as much as I do, if not more.
Yes.
But I'm pumped to see some high school lacrosse this spring for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed. I've been watching, Hobart and Lafayette on ESPN3. So, yeah, I completely agree. Tom, I didn't mean to sabotage your March Madness talk either.
Oh, that's all right. I just got to get Andy's pick because I got Gonzaga for me and Jared. I got you down for Houston. Andy, what's your pick? Who's going to win it all?
UCLA.
Oh, I
Oh
like
my
it.
gosh,
I
he
like
does
it.
it. He does it.
Tom,
I like it.
if UCLA wins, you owe me a free dinner.
All right,
Oh,
deal.
my.
And if they lose, you owe me a free appetizer.
You got to give me credit if
It can't be an even bet, because it is an 11
Oh,
seed.
man.
but if they how much money you get like in Vegas if they win it all, it's going to be astronomical.
I bet you somebody has them. Someone has them.
Definitely.
Someone
Definitely.
Yeah, you
predicted
always hear
that
about those
before the
things.
season started, and they're going to win like $5 million, maybe more if that happens.
Yep.
Off a $10 bet.
And they're still going to have more money than me. So
Right. Oh, I mean that's the thing to do. Like, if you don't want to do the game by game betting, go play some futures and put some, long shots in there. Because if it happens, hey, you make out pretty good. Even if you're just picking the Super Bowl winner at the beginning of the NFL season, and you're going with a favorite, like you can still make out pretty good there. And I think the Bucks are favored to win it all again next year. By the
but I'm
way.
going with UCLA. I'm riding the wave, man.
I like it. Hey, if they beat Gonzaga, I'm gonna be nervous. I'm gonna be like, I guess I gotta start like picking a restaurant or something. Should be interesting. But if they beat Gonzaga, anything's possible. So hey, they made it this far, so why not? Why not?
I
But,
bet I bet UCLA loses to Gonzaga by at least 20. Give me that.
All right. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. I mean, I watched that Zags team play, and they're just unstoppable. They could beat
They're unplayable. They're so ridiculous.
They're like Alabama in football.
I just always feel, though, when a team has nothing to lose, like UCLA does, that's when a team is the most dangerous. Nobody.
I feel you.
And look at the Giants did to us in Super Bowl 42. Oh, still not over that one.
Oh, jeez.
Come
on, you had to bring that up. Jesus, man.
But by the way, it was really weird seeing Juwan Howard, the Michigan coach with gray hair. Made me feel really old.
Wow. Juwan Howard. I had no idea he was coaching there until
it took me a minute to recognize him. I'm like, who is that? And then I'm like, that's Juwan Howard. Because, well, they said it in the broadcast, but it took me a while to recognize him. He had a pretty good run.
I was watching some old college basketball from the NCAA in like the 80s and 90s, and the product was so unbelievable, really. I mean, I'm not saying – I just think it's lost a little bit the last few years because watching like when, Duke and Kentucky and some of these teams, even when UMass was good in the mid-90s, I mean, it was unbelievable watching like Tim Duncan at Wake Forest. Like I was just watching like, the O'Bannons and UCLA. Oh man, some of these games were phenomenal to watch. But when Villanova beat North Carolina, or was it a couple of years ago when they hit it at the buzzer?
2016. Don't remind me. I'm a UNC fan.
One of the greatest finishes I've ever seen.
It was a great finish. I will give you that.
I won money, so I was happy. So
that's one of the unfortunates of this area. I mean, back in the 90s, we had UMass, who's going far, making big tournament runs. You had BC for a while. And
yes,
you don't really have anybody right now, except, maybe UConn once in a while. But UConn hasn't been relevant for a couple of years.
Don't forget Rhode Island. They blew an 8-point lead with like a minute to go against Stanford, I believe. They almost went to the Final Four. I mean, so yeah, we've had some very good teams. And over on the women's side, what more can you say about UConn? 13 straight ins.
Did you catch the game the other night against Baylor?
I did.
That was a great game. That was an awesome game.
13 straight Final Four appearances. That is just what this team has done is I don't think you're ever going to see again. I mean,
outrageous.
No.
They can beat some pro teams. Like they are so good.
And Paige Beckers is the real deal. She is what a player she is.
And you know what? At a school like UConn, they go to them. They don't have to recruit. I mean, like Alabama in football, they go to them. The players go to them.
Yeah, we'll give the women's tournament some love here. We'll show who's in that. You got 3 1 seeds. You got South Carolina taking on Stanford, and then you got 3rd seed Arizona against 1st seeded UConn, and UConn. I mean, they're unbelievable. They're unstoppable. Back into the mix. They're 28-1, which is unreal. They're the Alabama of women's football.
No question.
Yep, absolutely.
No question. I mean, Arizona, great story. Great story of Arizona. They're in the Final Four. They are no match for you. Let's face it, guys. I mean, now that Stanford South Carolina game, I think, is going to be very, very.
That's going to be good. That's going to be really good.
South Carolina has UConn's number. Like
Stanford's always in there too.
Oh yeah. So I like UConn versus South Carolina, and I am going to take South Carolina. They are a very, very good team. But who knows, really? I mean.
All right, we'll do our women's picks. I'm taking UConn. You can't go against UConn. Jared, who do you got in the women's bracket?
I want to take South Carolina, but it's hard to bet against UConn right now with just the way that they're playing. Give me UConn.
All right, Andy.
I'm going to take South Carolina.
I like it.
I'm going to take South Carolina. They are a very tough team. But
all right, Kevin, who's your women's pick?
I despise Gito Auriemma, but I'm going to pick UConn.
All right.
Oh, you're going to pick Arizona. Yeah. What a story they've been, Arizona.
If Andy is right on both of his college picks, we'll have to buy him dinner. An individual dinner.
All of us. Once the restrictions, once the restrictions are a little bit better, yeah.
We'll do an episode from the restaurant while we're buying them dinner.
That's right.
Going to Milford.
Yes.
Plenty.
So we do have Hiller's highlights coming up in a little bit, but some NFL notes that I'm just looking at right now. The Seattle Seahawks are giving a wide receiver, Tyler Lockett, a 4-year, $69.2 million contract extension, $37 million guaranteed. Tyler Lockett, I think he's an unbelievable talent, someone you have to hold on to for sure.
Sure.
And then it looks like the Dan Snyder is going to pretty much own the full Washington football team. He is supposedly planning to buy the remaining 40.5% of the team for $875 million. So it looks like Dan Snyder will be the full-out owner of the Washington football team. And Aaron Rodgers, big news coming out of the Packers camp. Aaron Rodgers is going to be hosting Jeopardy for 2 weeks.
Oh,
starting on Monday, April 5th, continuing to the week of April 12th.
That'll be interesting. They should let Gronkowski host Jeopardy.
Aaron Rodgers might be one of the most talented and easily dislikable athletes I've ever seen.
That's a good point.
I cannot stand him.
That's a good point.
I'm kind of curious about him hosting Jeopardy, though.
He's not much of a personality, though, Rodgers.
No, but he might be good at it just because I feel like he's good with, media people and he knows how to kind of talk his way out of a paper bag. But he's one of the most disingenuous athletes and just dislikable I've ever seen. But I think he might be good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't had much luck in his family relationships and in his marriages. So
they should let Belichick host it. Let him host Jeopardy.
Now that would be awesome.
Oh, that'd be great. I could totally picture him doing it. I totally could picture Bill doing that.
To be honest, I'm surprised I didn't ask Brady.
He did good in that Subway commercial.
And I'm going to make another prediction. The Patriots are going to trade up and get Justin Fields. I think it's starting to pick up steam, guys. I really think it's starting to gain steam. I think they're going to do it.
He had a very good pro day.
Yeah. Jimmy G is still my white whale. I still just love the idea of bringing a guy back who what you're getting already, and he's already familiar with you. I hate the idea of either A, changing the offense again to try and fit Cam, or B, going with a young guy. And I don't think they'd ever start a young guy. I do think they're going to draft one, but I'd actually rather them go defense in that first round. But I do think Jimmy G is still an option. But hey, if they go with Fields or they go with Lance, at least we know they're trying something. And it's not this Cam.
It finally seems like the Patriots have a plan. Somewhat. Yes. We don't know what they're going to do yet, but it seems like to me this team is done. The Tom Brady era is over, and they finally seem like they have some sort of a plan, but they have been very, very busy. They're not done making moves yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they might be close to done in free agency, but you could see some trades, especially in the draft. I mean, I'm sure they're still going to sign a couple of pieces in free agency, but I think as far as big signings, they may be done.
Yeah, I agree.
But I definitely think that they're planning on drafting a quarterback. I think Jimmy G is probably out of the realm of possibilities. And for whatever reason, the 49ers seem like they're going to hold on to him. But
what it looks like.
In any case, believe it or not.
Sorry about that, guys. My internet sucks.
Oh, that's okay. Believe it or not, we're just about out of time. We want to get to the latest Hillers highlights, so we're going to sneak those in real quick. But Andy, Jared, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Great show.
And thanks, guys.
It was a fun one, and we'll do it again next week. We'll talk some. Hello, Amelia, right?
Yeah, it's my daughter Amelia.
Hi, Amelia.
You guys.
We'll talk some NFL free agency next week. I'm sure there'll be more moves made, and we'll know who the college basketball champion is, and if we owe Andy dinner or not. So. Stay tuned for next week, Wednesday at 3 p.m. But here are the latest Hopkinton Hillers highlights right now.
Okay, we can't.
And we apologize. Looks like we're having some audio difficulties there. We'll try to get those straightened out and get those highlights back for you. We apologize for the inconvenience. Let's try it again. And we apologize. Looks like we're having some audio difficulties there. We'll try to get those straightened out and get those highlights back for you. We apologize for the inconvenience. Let's try it again. And we apologize. Looks like we're having some audio difficulties there. We'll try to get those straightened out and get those highlights back for you. We apologize for the inconvenience. Let's try it again. And we apologize. Looks like we're having some audio difficulties there. We'll try to get those straightened out and get those highlights back for you. We apologize for the inconvenience. Let's try it again. For the Hopkinton Hillers, and just like that, we have a 6-0 game. A huge opening kickoff return from Seamus Murphy puts the Hillers up 6-0, and that's how the score stayed following the conversion attempt. Holliston with the ball at their own 20 in the second quarter, and this happens. 30. Kylie out of the gun, takes the snap, looks upfield under pressure, and he's brought down. Another Hillers sack. Teaming up was Riley Finnegan and Devin Canty to bring down Kylie to reserve clock to maybe get another opportunity at another drive. And it was that last time because it is fourth down here. Snap, and it is going to go over the head of the punter into the end zone, and that is going to be a safety. A safety puts the Hillers up 8-0. In the third quarter, both teams went back and forth with some great defensive stops. The game stayed an 8-0 lead in favor of the Hillers heading into the fourth. In the fourth quarter, Holliston found the end zone. Marked at the Hillers 3-yard line. Riley will line it up out of the pistol. Olsen in the backfield. He'll fake the handoff, throws to his left, has a wide open target, and it's hauled in for a touchdown. What a great play there by Holliston. Some good trickery by Kylie. A 3-yard reception to Holliston's Colin Kerr from quarterback TJ Kylie makes it an 8-6 game. Holliston attempted a 2-point conversion to tie the game. Kylie line it up out of the gun, takes the snap. He'll hand it off, run up the middle, pushing his way forward is Harding, but he is going to be stopped short. The conversion was no good. Towards the end of the fourth quarter, however, Holliston driving at their own 48. But Holliston on their last drive was able to find the end zone. Let's see if they can keep the momentum going. Kylie out of the gun. He'll hand it off. And no, he fakes it. Play action. Throws up the middle, and it's intercepted. Picking it off is Braden Hicks. It went off the hands of his target, and Hicks is there to collect. And he will take it into Holliston territory all the way to the 40. Hopkinton's Braden Hicks with the interception, but Holliston would get the ball back. Fisher out of the pistol, Lynette in the backfield, play action, rolls to his left, throws upfield, and it's intercepted. And that is just what Holliston needed there. He tries to throw up the middle, and jumping up and picking it off was Miguel De Jesus. Miguel De Jesus picks off the pass, and Holliston had one last opportunity. Riley out of the gun, takes the snap, hands it off once again, and this time they're ready for him. Harding is going to be stopped for a loss. Backfield takes the snap, and he is in trouble. Went play action, but did not fool the defense, and he's brought down for a loss. Robert Lisher leading the way on the sack. Holliston, they need to convert here. 4th and 10. Kylie takes the snap, rolls to his right, in trouble, throws up the middle, no one's there. A turnover on downs. The Hopkinton defense gets the job done and takes the game in the JV battle 8-6. Also this past Monday, Hopkinton swimming and dive hit the pool at Milford High School to post results for their meet versus Ashland. Here's a look.
Oh gosh, good job. Great job. Just a little scary sometimes. You parents have nerves of steel. Alyssa is swimming for Wheaton next year, and she really enjoyed March and April, speaking with the coach during COVID. That's when she really got to know the coach of Wheaton, and that really helped her make her decision. Beautiful swim by both Alyssa and Kevin.
The result of the meet is to be determined. Good results by the Hillers. This past Tuesday, Hiller girls volleyball took on Medfield. Steve Sweetapple had the call.
Well, right with a bullet. Oh,
Nice.
Gardner tried to duck to let that one go long, but she couldn't get out of the way because the ball was coming so fast.
End it. Take a break. It's not all over.
Hannah, Millie puts that one deep. Good get from Rachel. Bump set outside. Bub goes deep. Sam gets that one to Rachel right in the middle for Millie. Just tips it, and that's it.
In the first set, Medfield went on a big run towards the end, but the Hillers would hang on to take the set 25-20. In the second set, the Hillers came through big.
McCarron handles that. Rachel, Powers. Nice play from Kate. Side out, Hillers. Set point. Sam, Rachel in the middle. Michaela, nice. Nice swing from Grady. And that's the second set.
Hopkinton takes the set 25-14. In the third set, Medfield did all they could to keep the match going.
Right on the back line. Wagonseller with a good kill. Great.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, but you can catch the full highlights over at our website, hcam.tv, as well as our YouTube page, youtube.com/HCAMTV. We apologize. We had a little bit of technical difficulty getting those up, but thank you for joining us on HCAM Sports Talk Live.